All right, Danny, you're on the hot seat. I'm going to ask you some questions that you commonly get asked as my wife.
Okay.
Question 1. What did you know about David's disability prior to your first date?
I only knew that David uses a wheelchair, which he mentioned on his dating profile. I never asked him about his disability because I consider it a sensitive topic, and I didn't want to hurt him. It shouldn't be a deal breaker, and that would be discriminatory. At the end of the day, it's all about compatibility and whether we enjoy spending time with each other.
Question 2. What was your impression of his disability when you first met him?
His disability was a lot more debilitating than I had thought. I was pretty surprised to see that, honestly. I only envisioned David using a manual wheelchair, but David actually uses a heavy-duty power wheelchair. I tried to be chill and took the lead in carrying on the conversation. I was assessing David's mobility by observing him in a natural but not rude way. I could tell that David tried to hide the inconveniences his disability brought him, like giving his credit card to the restaurant before I got there and telling me he was full and didn't need to eat when the food was served. This made me feel more empathy and admiration for him. It must have taken a lot of courage for him to put himself out there. Online dating can be cruel, but he's not afraid of people's judgments and rejections. I think that's really courageous and admirable.
How did David's disability affect your perception of him?
At first, I didn't know what David's physical capabilities were, so I was hesitant to offer help. I didn't want to offend him by offering assistance for something he could easily do himself. I also had some misunderstandings about his interest in me, because his ability to show affection through physical touch was limited, which I hadn't known at the time. We cleared the air after good communication, but other than that, I don't think I perceive him any differently because of his disability. We always enjoyed talking on the phone and spending time together in person.
So how did it feel like to walk around with David in his wheelchair? Were you conscious of others?
That's a very good question. I was conscious of others at first because I didn't know what people would think about our relationship. I was sensitive to people's perceptions until I started sharing our stories on the Chinese social media platform called Xiaohongshu. I received some unfriendly comments, but most were very supportive. Many parents with children who have muscular dystrophy told me that after watching our story, they became more hopeful for their children's future. However, the mean comments can be very hurtful. Some people accuse me of using David's disability to attract attention, so I hid most of our posts. After talking to a close friend who's a psychotherapist, however, I realized that no matter what I do, there will always be people who don't like me or approve of my decisions. Sharing our story has social importance as it inspires children with disabilities and brings attention to this invisible population in China. Hopefully, through our social media presence, society can eliminate the stigma towards people with disabilities and increase accessible infrastructure. So I resumed sharing our stories on Xiaohongshu. After a while, one day I suddenly realized when I walk with David, I'm no longer conscious of others.
How did you feel when you first learned about the average life expectancy of his diagnosis?
It wasn't until the morning of our first date that David brought up his condition, and I learned about muscular dystrophy for the first time. I told David that I understood he has a degenerative disease that shortens life expectancy, but it wouldn't affect my evaluation of whether we'd be a good match. I would treasure the time we could spend together.
What efforts have you taken to improve David's health?
This topic itself could be a long video. I tried to attend all of David's medical appointments. After I learned that a friend was also a muscular dystrophy patient regained muscle strength through exercising, I pushed David hard to exercise for a couple of months, which caused some tension between us that we had to work through. Since there is no cure for Becker muscular dystrophy in Western medicine yet, I started seeking treatment from traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. I scheduled appointments with 6 TCM doctors for David in the past year and consulted with others who are difficult for David to meet. I did a lot of searching online and shared our story with the public, hoping people might share useful information or resources with us. which they did. I'm very thankful for these kind strangers. I always give David massages to improve his circulation, ensure he exercises regularly, and have him soak his feet in hot water once or twice a week, which is a healthy practice according to TCM. David is improving in some ways, so I know we're on the right track. Since David probably needs long-term intensive treatment, and I'm also interested in formally studying TCM, I plan to pursue my third master's degree in acupuncture next year. This will make it easier for me to do acupuncture on David at home regularly. I look forward to seeing David get stronger and stronger.
How do you feel about the future?
I feel pretty positive about it, especially now that I'll be studying acupuncture. I'm excited to help treat David's physical issues. I think David's health is our biggest challenge right now. Once David gets better, we will save a lot of money that we currently spend on outsourcing help for David and ourselves. It'll be easier for us to raise kids together and manage everything else. But life is good now too, despite the many challenges that you might imagine. We live a pretty good and happy life now.